Greetings, dear people of God at Trinity and beloved friends beyond. Thank you for joining me for this week's Reflections from the Other Side. It's been a while, and I've missed you. The first part of the surgeon's video visit just a few days ago held great good news. There was no sign of cancer in my chest, pelvis, or abdomen. But then he said, "Since your last scan, you have developed a large new hiatal hernia, which will require surgery to repair." My heart had leapt with the news about the cancer, only to sink at this news. After all these months of struggling to recover of chronic digestive issues and persistent nausea, I face more surgery? Haven't I gone through enough? As you may know, I haven't posted a reflection in a few weeks. It's because of those waves of nausea, which overwhelm me to the point where I tumble into bed. So it wasn't the first time since diagnosis when I found myself asking, what have I done to deserve this? Enough is enough. But this time the news felt just too much to bear. It felt like the sky was falling. My heart felt shattered. I'm doing what I need to do, getting another opinion, getting more tests before the decision is made. But what about this crisis of my heart? Today, light shined through my shattered heart. Light from Kate Bowler's podcast with Elaine Pagels. Kate introduces it by saying, "Don't you wish there were some cap on suffering? Like there was someone keeping track who could say, yep, she's gone through enough, or no more for him. Only good things for them from here on out." And of course, as much as we want that to be true, we know, you and me, that somehow everything keeps happening. No matter how much good we do, or how generous we are, or how much faith we have, there really is no formula that will exempt us from the realities of being a person. This episode, Kate says, is for someone who has ever thought, haven't I suffered enough? This is Kate's introduction to her tender conversation with Elaine Pagels. Now, many of you may recognize Elaine's name and associate with her with the Gnostic Gospels, the texts including Gospels, poems, and myths discovered in 1945 in Egypt's Nag Hammadi desert, and attributing to Jesus sayings and beliefs which are very different from the New Testament, but which in many cases reflect the Jesus whose way of love we seek to follow. But this is not a discussion between preeminent religious scholars. In this podcast, Everything Happens, Kate and Elaine are trusted companions in a life that hasn't turned out like we thought it should or thought it would. Are you too living a life that hasn't turned out like you thought it should or thought it would? Have you ever shaken your fist at the sky? Has your heart ever cried out, haven't I suffered enough? Or haven't they suffered enough? Hasn't he, hasn't she suffered enough? Then you might listen to the whole episode called Love Pulls You Forward on Kate Bowler's podcast, Everything Happens. In her memoir, Why Religion, Elaine explains our need to examine and debunk the stories that we're told to explain or blame or process what has happened. She states, what is clear is that meaning may not be something we find. The most we can hope for is that we might be able to create meaning. Our sorrow flows out of the love that we had for a person or marriage or life that we thought we would be living. But when we are ready, that love can pull us forward into new meaning. That love can live in and through different people in different ways. Let me tell you, dear friends, the meaning I found today in my life. Yes, even in my struggles over these many months. It's the message that came to me not only in these words from the podcast, Love Pulls You Forward, but in the post by Becca Stevens on this International Women's Day. Yes, I have cried out, haven't I suffered enough? Enough is enough. This latest news feels so deeply unfair. Where is the hope now? My life now more than ever before connects me to all those whose story is of suffering in this unfair world of insidious injustice, where so much doesn't make sense, where we all, in a variety of ways, in a variety of circumstances, ultimately feel desperately, deeply alone. Becca writes, I sat across from a woman who spoke in a dialect I couldn't understand, but I could recognize the timbre of her voice and the tears that flowed down the etched lines on her skin. Her hands never stopped moving while she knitted and told her story of fleeing violence. I've heard her story before, Becca writes. On International Women's Day this year, today, it is my hope that we honor women who have told the same story in 100 different languages. While the stories of violence, sexual abuse, poverty, and trauma are alarmingly similar, individual experiences in each one matter. Let's celebrate International Women's Day by responding to an unfair world, to insidious injustice, with unstoppable love and hope. So this is a blessing from Kate Bowler, called for when this pain doesn't make sense. God, I'm fumbling around for answers, reasons, meaning. I can't find any purpose in this pain. Why me? Why them? Why now? I don't know when this is going to get better or if I will ever feel relief. God, make this pain matter, at least to you. See me in my fragility. Give me a reminder of your presence. Reach for me, for I am too weary to reach for you. Blessed are we who need to be reminded that there are some things we can fix and some things we can't. Blessed are we who can say, my life isn't always getting better. Right in the midst of the pain and fear and uncertainty, may we hunt for beauty and meaning and truth together. Not to erase the pain or solve the pain, though surely that would be nice, but to remind us that beauty and sorrow coexist. And that doesn't mean we're broken or have been forgotten. God is here, and we are never, were never, and will never be alone. In our hope, in our disappointment, in our joy, in our pain, God have mercy, Christ have mercy, Spirit have mercy. And may that Spirit work through each one of us as we accompany one another in the midst of the meaninglessness of life, of the injustice of life, of the suffering in life. And despite the hopelessness, live out unstoppable love. Amen.